Hello, everyone. This is Warhawk Beyond 2040, and welcome to the final edition of the X-Men 97 review series. And today we are going to be talking about episode 10, Tolerance is Extinction, Part 3. And we are joined once again with the one and only, the badass himself, Rex the Boss 11. Rex, let's not waste any more time. Let's get straight into this.
Yes, let's do that. Hey guys, how's it going? Let's talk about X-Men 97's finale, episode 10.
So this is what we've been building up to, the season finale of X-Men 97. And I can tell you now, this did not disappoint one bit. This was absolutely, for me, excellence. Rex, what did you think of the season finale?
I mean, without going too deeply into the end of it, of course, the last 3 or 4 minutes, like, it just makes the whole series like, oh, well, it doesn't really matter what's happened now. We know something crazy is going to happen in the next series. So you know what? Forget about all that. Although we know it's been a great series, don't we?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
It really wouldn't have mattered if the whole of the other 9.5 episodes would have been, or the other 10 and like 99% of the other episodes would have been poor. And then you got this last little 5-minute clipping of what they're doing in the future. It was worth the whole series to just watch this. So either way, I know for a fact that this is the one of the better episodes just because it's got this little bit at the end. But yeah, overall, good finale, good resolution to what's going on, and of course, a nice little cliffhanger at the end to be able to, leave it with what's happening, who's alive, who's not alive, who's presumed dead, etc. And just the little bits that you get to see, which is like, well, what's happening in the future, what's happening in the past. It seems like obviously there's the same villain is in the future and he's also in the past at the same time. So it's just craziness. It's like, yeah. And I said it in the previous review of episode 9, we're now getting factions, aren't we? And without even the Force factions, whatever the space-time continuum is, the convenient space-time continuum has made it so that a group of them are in one place, a group of them are in a different place, and a group of them are in a different place, but they're all in different times as well. So it's like, you're definitely going to get to see what factions of the X-Men work next year, because the modern day, or the 1997 faction is dealing with one bad guy. One of the other factions is dealing with something in the past, and one of the factions is dealing with something in the future. So it's like, yeah, man, they definitely leave you on a cliffhanger, incredible episode with just a lot of, look into what the X-Men are doing. You get little cameos of different series that may or may not take place in the future. Once again, I will just like hint, well, not even hint, but just refer to there's been issues with some of the producers and that, but I don't think that that's going to be a big thing that's going to prevent these series from going forward. I think that this was a highly successful series in itself, and I think that a lot of people would want more of this now, whether it be X-Men 98, X-Men 99, whatever the next one's going to be, or, they just go with the X-Men animated series tagline from the 90s. I don't really care. I just definitely want to see more of what they've got to deliver from this.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely. Everything you said there, I couldn't agree more. It was one of those shows that you really wanted to see for a long time. You just wasn't really sure that you were going to get it. And when you did get it, it was like, yeah, this was definitely well worth the wait. And, with this season finale, which we are going to tap into, you kind of got a bit of everything you wanted to see. You got a few surprises as well, and everything you saw in this episode didn't disappoint. It was like, okay, I kind of expected this to happen, but it was still good. I did not expect that to happen. When are we getting the next series? So yeah, this was definitely really good, and it delivered big time. And I think it's one of those shows, I mean, you probably agree with this, very rarely, and I think this is where I've always said, not just with Marvel, but just in animation in general, I tend to feel that animation, for 95% of the time, animation tend to stay more strong and consistent with their stuff as opposed to live action. What do you think?
Yeah, yeah. In a way, I mean, obviously depending on budgets, because both of them, either way, a live action or we've seen it in the past, they all rely on budget and sponsors and whoever else is in charge. But even aside from that, you've got more ability and the wriggle room, especially if you haven't got an actual. I mean, let's not forget that a lot of these Marvel and DC films, no matter what they be, superhero films, it's a stunt double in the costume all of the time, and then they do the
Most of
shots
the
of the
time,
other
yes.
person. So a lot of
Yes.
it's more to do with the budgetary issues with the actors that they want to portray these characters. Do you know what I mean? Like if you look at Spider-Man over the last few films, they spend a lot of time with Tom Holland not in the Spider-Man outfit. They even made in one of the films, obviously, the way where he actually needed to avoid being in the Spider-Man outfit, where they made the Night Monkey guy. And obviously, it's funny, isn't it? Because you think about it, they clearly wanted to have a film where, and this is where Sony does think a little bit different, all with the negativity in that in the comic books they wouldn't need to do that, would they? In the film, in the animated, it's not going to cost them more to make the guy Peter Parker or Spider-Man. It's the same amount of cost for the animation.
Yeah.
But in a film, it would cost a lot more to have the actual Spider-Man costume on the screen than it would just have someone called Peter walking around half the time. Or
No,
in
it's true.
some extent, it'll probably cost more to have, the actors, depending on who the actor is, playing that role. So, like Samuel L. Jackson's face on character, it cost them more than just having a Nick Fury in the films.
Yeah. No, that's actually true. That's pretty spot on. So in this episode, which is the season finale, we see Xavier is in Magneto's mind as he takes control of him while they're trying to restore power to Earth, and he actually ends up fracturing his mind. And it's quite interesting when you're in Magneto's mind. It's almost like a sinking ship, isn't it?
Yeah, like I think it's the captive situation. What you're seeing in his mind is like, this is a situation which I cannot escape. I am trapped. There is nothing that I like. Think about it, the amount of water that he's surrounded by. He could probably use the boat or all that as a way of being able to survive. But how, if the boat's already sinking, which is the only bit of metal that he's got, he's practically fucked there, isn't he? Now, obviously, we know that he can fly, but this is what his mind tells him every time I think that he gets into danger, which is it's a literal sinking effect of the world's about to swallow me up. If I don't lash out and hurt people and use my power, I will succumb to the elements of the world, the other elements. Bearing in mind, obviously, this is the Magneto that can feel all the elements of metal. So it's got to be a little bit strange for him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And also in this scene, I mean, we saw in the previous episode, we saw how powerful Magneto really is. We also get to see how powerful Xavier actually is in this episode. And after he essentially, fractures Magneto's mind, we start to see what we alluded to before. We get to see more cameos. So here we go. So cameos we get here: Silver Samurai. We also get a cameo appearance from Captain America, Daredevil, yes, Captain America and Iron Man.
Iron Man, Captain America, and I think there's somebody else as well.
Yeah,
they start fighting against these zombies, don't they?
We get Doctor Strange cameo.
Doctor Strange, yeah.
Yeah, we get quite a few. Yeah, this is as a result of what happens with Xavier and Magneto. And we also get a cameo from Peter Parker and Mary Jane Watson.
Yeah, this is obviously where similar time, but a later time than when we got to see the previous cameo. But yeah, you get to see all of the people that you've seen before and all of those like world leaders being protected by Daredevil, Iron Man, and Captain America. But yeah, this is what leads to them realizing that the virus and that has now spread out, and even some people in that room are now infected by the sort of zombie thing. Now, I couldn't remember if these lasted into the finale or not, but obviously they did.
Yeah, some of it did. Yeah. I mean, it was quite a surprise, really, to get Doctor Strange and Daredevil cameo. I wasn't really expecting that. So,
but I presume that they've done that because Doctor Strange has kind of got to be part of all of the future series and all that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
At some
he's always
point,
popped up in these
interact with all
shows.
of those characters. Yeah.
Daredevil only appeared in the Spider-Man 90s cartoon. He never really showed up in the X-Men. So actually to see him here was actually quite a nice surprise, especially as Daredevil has become really popular thanks to the Netflix shows. So I thought it was nice
Yeah,
that
he was
he.
supposed to get his own series, I believe, back in the 90s, but it
Yeah,
doesn't have them.
yeah. I mean, his two-part crossover with Spider-Man that was supposed to serve as kind of like a backdoor pilot for his show, but it never happened. I saw sketches of it, but yeah, it just didn't happen.
The
Maybe
pilot
now.
was, I think they were actually used as a pilot for Daredevil, but the Daredevil show was never drawn or created, was it?
No, there was no. It was never. It never went into production. I think they just made a few sketches and that was it. We also get a cameo from Black Panther. We also
Yeah,
get
there is a cameo from Black Panther. Yeah,
yeah. We also get a cameo from Omega Reds, Psylocke.
and it's almost like around the world there's now chaos breaking free, isn't there?
Yeah, yeah,
So
pretty
it's not
much.
necessarily we're not necessarily getting a cameo from these people because they're going to help out. We're getting a cameo because they're obviously
Sort
it's now
of.
become aware to everybody who's of power and everybody who is a power, as in powerful X-Men and powerful leaders of the world. It has become apparent to them now that there is a problem somewhere in the world that is now being either fought or dealt with by the X-Men that is involving a or some powered people.
Yeah. Now this bit here with Bastion and Cable. This was really bizarre. This is the thing I don't get. This is what you were saying before. Like Bastion's supposed to be the big bad here, but I'm not really feeling that from him.
No, especially because they've chose to do this in reverse order. Where in
Yeah,
the original series, we've seen people like Apocalypse have to look at this like, how is he more powerful than Apocalypse?
yeah I don't. He's
How,
not.
how is he more dangerous than Mr. Sinister, who had to work with Apocalypse? So it's like, are we underestimating that? It's like, even if it is a villain of the week sort of thing, these are the X-Men. They are almost undefeatable to most evils because of how many of them there is.
Yeah, I don't know really. I understand what they were trying to do, but I just don't think it was executed as well as I hoped it would be with him. And not just that, I never really took this guy seriously, to be honest.
I don't get it. I don't get what he was supposed to have been. So what, he could read a few minds, or he could. I, I don't get what. Honestly, someone's gonna have to really bring me up to speed on what this guy's like villain stuff was. What was he doing?
I have no idea.
Maybe somehow you can make human sentinels, but
Yeah,
you're. The dangerous thing about you is that you're killing humans because you turn them into these weird robot types of people. But if they've already been infected with your virus, then they need to be killed anyway.
well, yeah, exactly. And we actually see Jean Grey become the Phoenix once again as she takes out Bastion and restores pretty much everyone back to normal.
But yeah, that couldn't have just happened on like episode 4.
No.
It's where I'm on about that. We all want to see stuff like that because of the nostalgic, and we all know that that's how powerful Jean is. But once again, it's me saying earlier on, it's a great series, an amazing series, but you could have just fast forward to the last 30 seconds or the last 3 minutes of the episode 10, and that's really what makes this like levels, where you're like,
Yeah.
oh, and then you think, whoa, I wonder what they're going to do with the next series. If this one's been as good as this one's been, the next one's going to be incredible. But it's little bits like that that they need to be careful with.
Yeah.
If Jean just turned into the Phoenix on the start and done the Hulk Hogan thing, can we just do the Hulk Hogan thing from the start?
Yeah, and she pretty much takes out Sinister here, blows him up into 1,000 pieces.
You think that that's the end of Sinister, or you think that it's just this in this universe anyone can be regenerated just from a little bit of DNA?
Oh, he'll be back. I mean, you do still see Sinister walking around, but he's like basically turned into like a zombie. He's lost all his hair.
No, he's not the same. He's almost like his power's been stripped of. Like, did you know what I mean?
Yeah, he lost all his muscle mass because Sinister's a huge guy.
So I think she's turned him back into what he would be now without, without the
powers.
aging
Yeah,
and all the he's taken to stay alive.
because I've always I've always looked at Sinister. He's kind of like the Dracula of the show. Certainly got like vampire Dracula vibes to him.
Well, it's Frankenstein and Dracula combined, isn't it? He looks like Dracula, but is made of like Frankenstein parts, as in he's done things to himself that have made his life last longer at
Yeah,
the sacrifice of obviously the way that he looks and stuff.
the pale skin, and as you say, the fact that he never ever ages. So as you say, this is essentially we're seeing what Sinister really looks like without the power. Yeah, this was good. I thought the way Sinister was defeated was a bit unusual. It's not really the way I would have expected.
See, I liked it though. I like that the fact that she did that, but I don't like the fact that she had to become the Phoenix entity sort of thing to actually do it because it makes no sense. Potentially, she could have just done that without that. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, she should have really have done that in the first place. But I suppose it with the Phoenix, it's one of those things like you bring it out for special occasions.
Yeah, but surely it's like it's the Megazord, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's like, yeah, I mean, either way, though, people are going to complain if they bring the Megazord out every single time they get in trouble. Everyone moans, why can't they do it without the Megazord? If they never bring the Megazord out, everyone's just going to be like, well, just get the Megazord. You know what I mean? Can't really have it in the best ways.
can't please everyone, I'm afraid. But I thought it was a good way to defeat Sinister. Certainly not the way I would have expected.
Like, they've built it now, haven't they? So that there's a way back in the next series for multiple characters. He's not really going to be relevant if what we've seen at the end of the episode in the future and the past of involving the same character is right. Like we don't really need to see him playing, Sinister playing lackey to some other villain. He may as well just drift into the background until he's ready to regenerate, and then maybe in a few series' time they can bring back a super Sinister. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, we get a really cool scene here. We see Rogue living up to her name, absolutely beating the crap out of Bastion, who's kind of turned into like a metallic archangel sort of villain here.
He's got that sort of apocalypse over the Archangel and the Horsemen get, like, where he just becomes almost like a robotic, demonic version of himself.
Yeah, actually, it's a really cool look, I must say.
Yeah, if Bastion would have come in with this sort of behavior, like, you'd have taken him a lot more seriously from the start. But it's almost like the name is also very, it sounds like some kind of French guy who looks after horses and shags like farmers' wives and stuff. Half decent with a sword in his hand, you know what I mean, in the 1700s. Bastion. Yeah. And then
can actually
Bastion from is it Beauty and the Beast?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I remember with
he's a bit of a knob, so he's like, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, walking around with a ponytail and the big boots and shirt.
Like, basically, he's the one who wants to marry her, innit? But she doesn't want to marry him. She ends up wanting to marry the beast. So he sets upon the villagers on the beast and says, like, let's go kill the beast and stuff.
Yeah, that's kind of what I got that vibe from him. But yeah, as you say, if he had debuted with that look, I think we'd be having a very different conversation about it. I do like those wings, though. They look almost like razor blades.
They were made. I'm thinking that they were made of whatever this virus turns these things into, like electronic, like techno. It's like it immediately turns them into like tech. But like, do you know what I mean? Like, what are you all made of now? Like wires and circuit boards? Because like, you know, like if you think about a circuit board designed in a certain way, it actually isn't the most pleasant thing. If you think, if that was in like a circular saw mechanism, I probably wouldn't want a circular saw circuit board being thrown at me. You know what I mean? Like, or being sawed towards me.
No. Oh no, of course not. So we see that while Xavier and Magneto are still unconscious, we see that they're still linked together in Magneto's mind. This was good scene as well. This is pretty much like a continuation of what we saw in part 2, isn't it? With the whole boat sinking ship sort of thing.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of sort of mind control sort of thing with it, where like there was flashbacks, weren't they, to things between Charles or I don't know if it was just like they were playing younger versions of themselves. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it was just like I think it was just like from more Magneto's point of view, how he remembers things when they were very young. The only thing I don't get though is why was Magneto when he was younger? Why did he still have white hair? That bit puzzled me. Surely I would have thought he had darker hair.
I just think it's one of those because of the cartoons, he's supposed to have like Danish hair,
Yeah,
that light silvery blonde hair, but they've just made it so that it's like in the cartoon there's no distinguishing between like blonde and like grey.
yeah. Interesting how certain characters have different hairstyles to others, because usually everyone has like the same hair color.
But yeah, there's definitely something in their male Maximoff genes which is like white hair.
So we see here Beast and the others have returned and have taken control of the Sentinel, and they're using it against the Bastion. This is a good way to defeat Bastion.
Obviously, if you put all the tech and all whatever he's involved in, all these like he can read all this type of shit. It makes sense that they've done the reverse engineering way to defeat him, because obviously it's the almost like cracking a code sort of thing. Bastion's probably not going to be able to think that they're smart enough or involved enough to be able to take him on in that way, or it could just be a flaw in the system, of course, where no one's actually explained. Or maybe we need to make sure that they can't sort of reverse engineer anything against us, but that is not how villains think, is it?
No, definitely not.
The Sentinel program and all that is something that's been going on for time. Whenever you see these villains that come in, which this is actually looking back in hindsight now with a bit of negativity, whenever you look at any of these series where they draw back in the Sentinels, how many times have we got to see the X-Men in various different ways prove that the Sentinels, no matter how powerful they are, they can get the better of the situation, like when they caught Morph or when they've taken people captive. That's one thing. It's when we've seen them defeated dozens of times now throughout the, what is this now, the 6th or 7th series of the X-Men, 8 series of the X-Men, all in all since then. We've seen multiple episodes where they have defeated and outsmarted the Sentinels. But from episode 1, they always made out the Sentinels were a bit doper.
Yeah, they were kind of written that they were a bit silly, weren't they? The early ones.
Yeah, one track minded, isn't it? Like, obviously, there's times where we realise that they've had upgrades and they've been learned to do different things. But remember, Days of Our Future Past was like the prevention of the Sentinel program.
Yeah, it's to stop them from being created.
When we fast forward into the time of when we first started watching in the 90s, they were already in the future from where the Sentinel program was approved. So it's like, yeah, these Sentinels have gone from being just stop, where are you going, to now they have the abilities of captured humans. So how did they get Cyclops' ability? How did they they must have captured these ones, innit?
Oh yeah, of course.
It's like it's still the Sentinels though, isn't it? No matter if they upgrade them or not, we've seen them defeated loads and loads of different times. So no matter who's in control of the Sentinels, whenever I see the Sentinels, I think, yeah, this will last a few weeks or a few months in the timeline of the X-Men. But when we get back to, the likes of Apocalypse and them, it always seems a lot more serious, doesn't it?
Yeah, totally. One little cameo we did get here is Morph turned into Mr. Fantastic from the Fantastic Four.
Yes, he did. He's not the only character from the Fantastic Four that we've seen sort of like lurking in these series, according to some of the Easter egg stuff online. But yeah, this is another one of these. Which one do you want? Do you want Daredevil? Do you want Fantastic Four? Do you want some kind of Marvel Universe world where it's just we'll throw out a few characters on each week?
Yeah. So we see Asteroid M has been nearly virtually completely destroyed. Bastion pretty much gets wiped out of existence. Yeah, this is quite an explosive way to end things for Bastion. It's not really how I would have expected him to be defeated, if I'm honest.
No. I mean, how do you really do that? Because anything else, this is like I said earlier on to you, nothing never seems definitive in these types of series, does it? So it doesn't really matter if they shredded him into a bazillion pieces. There's still a chance that in 3 series' time that Bastion's going to start teaming up with some other villain to get at the X-Men to get revenge on them. So we're all waiting for that now. So yeah, it was a nice way to sort of bring it to a conclusion. We knew Bastion was never going to win. We was never convinced by him, but he was a good enough stand-in for the first series, so they don't waste. That's another thing that we've not really drawn attention to because we're looking back in hindsight. one of the things that I did feel at the time was I was satisfied with the characters that they provided us with, simply because, more than anything, I feel that like there was no reason for them to have given us like Apocalypse or any of the ones that they've given us before, because we know that they're going to come into this at some point. So it's like, right, yeah. I'm actually okay with the fact that they gave us a filler character. It could have been a bit better, to be fair. Bastion could have, but this is basically series 1, isn't it, of the modern series? So
Yeah, pretty much is.
I'll take a Bastion as long as, series 2, 3, 4 feature the likes of, Apocalypse and maybe somebody a bit bigger than that, like a bigger, badder entity for maybe a different world, or maybe they cross over with the Spider-Man or Fantastic Four worlds, like a Doctor Doom or something like that. Let's get the X-Men in peril. We've seen a lot of what we've already seen. There's loads of stories that are untouched by the gloves of the live action and the animation. So let's hopefully we delve into some of them. But yeah, this was solid. This was quality and solid. And obviously, all that being said, this is all irrelevant because the last 5 minutes or the last 3 minutes completely flips over anything that they've done before anyway. And it makes you then go, regardless, oh, this was good, I'm going to carry on watching. Yeah, that's fair enough. But even if this would have been crap, you'd have still been like, what? Wait, I've got to get into season 2. There'll be some people who'll watch season 1, Warhawk, when season 2 comes out, and they'll go, I don't know if I want to watch season 2. But then they'll watch that's 5 minutes of season 1, and they'll be like, I'm definitely watching season 2.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we see, after Magneto sends the asteroid into space, it blows up, and we see that most of the X-Men are presumed dead. So we fast forward to 6 months later,
Forge.
and Forge appears.
Bishop.
Yeah, and Bishop have a conversation explaining that the X-Men are trapped in time. So we see Cyclops and Jean Grey are in 3960 AD.
The first one is Rogue. Rogue and
Nightcrawler.
Rogue and Nightcrawler spawn in the past somewhere and witness like someone being like ostracized or chased, and obviously Rogue being the way that she doesn't like the injustice of that, so she stops the let's just say the sort of Egyptian imperial guards from doing what they're doing, and before all the other characters sort of spawn in, it's Rogue and Nightcrawler fighting them off, and then they get overpowered by a load of people.
Yeah, they're trapped in ancient Egypt in 3000 BC.
Weird because, and then also Rogue's wearing that green costume as well, which is a bit mad.
That's a bit strange.
Looks a bit like Charles when Charles used to go on like field missions and stuff and wear the green outfit and stuff.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, in the original series. But yeah, nonetheless, they're in the past, like 3,000 years in the past, and then you get a cameo, don't you, of
We do indeed.
Before you get the cameo, you get the forward Jean and Cyclops are. It's like it's half and half.
Yeah.
You get the opening bit is Rogue and Nightcrawler getting like sort of surrounded by loads of Egyptian guards with like blades and stuff.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to Cyclops and Jean in the future. And where are they?
3960 AD.
That's where they are. So they're like 1,000 odd years in the future.
Where they meet Mother Askani and the young Nathan.
Cable when he's a baby. That's Cable. Yeah, when he's a baby. Jean isn't even Cable's mum. It's Cyclops' dad, Madeline Pryor, is the mum. It's a bit strange anyway. Yeah, so we'll get to see what happens with that. And then we quickly cut back to the ancient Egypt stuff. And I think it's somebody helps Rogue and Nightcrawler, don't they?
Yeah, this young guy would they meet is En Saba Nur. And for those of you who know that name, that is Apocalypse.
And Beast does what's become like the meme online, which is, oh dear. I have waited 10 episodes to say that, where Beast goes right at the end of the episode, the last thing that you see before it goes to the title screen, but you do get a little bit more after, but the title screen is Beast just goes, oh dear. He knows, oh, this cannot end well. This is not... fought in the future, but who is from the past, who has lived until our time. Like, whoa. So now we're in the position where how did this all work out? Because we're now back in the past where we're obviously supposed to stop this guy, but they're obviously helping him as well, aren't they? Because Charles lets him know you're not the only one with special powers here. Just, calm down or whatever you're doing. And then that's when the episode ends, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's where it ends. I thought that what a way to end it. But as you mentioned already, not quite finished just yet, because we get in the present, in Genosha, we get the
Was that
real.
Apocalypse as well?
Yeah, that was Apocalypse as well. He picks up Gambit's
So then
playing card.
it leaves you with some crazy thoughts of, well, them are not coming back then. Like, if he's still here, or they're only going to be able to get back through time travel, there's no way to defeat him because he's still here.
Yes.
So, are we going to now get a retcon, which is the past Apocalypse now knows of the X-Men?
Yes.
That's going to be a bit mad, though, isn't it? Because then also, why would he have popped up 25 years ago in the original series? What's that all about?
Hopefully they'll explain all that in the next series, but wow, what a way to end.
It was great. Like I said, just the fact that it leaves you on now even rabbit hole and questioning of, hold on a minute, I don't mean, I mean, now that's even great, because whenever season 2 does come out, and I've got no idea when it's going to come out, I hope it's not too long away, because it's got to have been at least 6-8 months now since this came out, isn't it? This came out, what, March time?
Yeah, it came out in March, so we're now in August, so that's about 5 months now.
So they must be looking to get to season 2, obviously. Like I said, there's been some issues with some production stuff, but I don't think that overall that will affect. And by the sounds of what I've heard, it sounds like they've already completed season 2 because it's a crediting issue. So
yeah, that's the only problem they've got.
This guy must have been involved in the production, and they must have already had all that in the can, as in when they were already ready to release season 1, they must have already been in production for season 2 just to make sure, right, we want this to, like you say, they probably decided to do 3 series of X-Men, and then in the meantime, that's when they can say, right, well, we can delay the second series of X-Men, and potentially maybe in October, November, we just randomly announce that Daredevil's coming out. So you get sort of looking up to Daredevil's perspective of what he's been doing. And then right at the end of his series, you'll get this where he goes into that room and then he get his perspective, or it could be Captain America, or it could be Fantastic Four, or it could be the Incredible Hulk. We've all seen all of these in these things, and then we're going to need all these.
Yeah, but this was excellent, absolutely brilliant.
It was. The last little bit, that could have been. Can you imagine? They really should have done what I'm thinking now, which is they should have just ended the series, and then maybe after all of the subjective and anything negative sort of died down, all the hype and all the excitement died down, this sort of time, like August, they just dropped on YouTube or on one of the platforms the 5-minute end of the series and the spoiler for the next series.
Yeah.
So how many views that would have? I mean, let's be honest. You've only got to look online. I reckon that last 3 minutes of the episode, it probably would have 100 million views if it's online.
That would have exploded big time.
Yeah, it would. And I'm not going to lie, but if they starved you of that and then they gave you that, they probably regret even putting it in. But then once again, like I said at the start of episode 10 review, they had to put that in there because that is literally the guidance of, if you thought that this series was good, imagine what the next series is going to be like when we're going down this rabbit hole here.
Absolutely. Well, overall, I thought this was an excellent finale. Great episode. Loved every second of it. Rex, what did you think of him? What's your rating? Go for it.
Like I said, excellent episode. The ending immediately gives this episode a 10 out of 10 rating just because of what we got in the ending, and then even the further ending and the post-credit stuff. 10 out of 10, and it also rounds off the series for me as a solid sort of 9 out of 10. There is improvements. There's ways that it could avoid certain things, and there's ways that it can get better, and I hope we get less filler and more just straight episode. There's too many characters in this universe for them not to have. I'd take flashback episodes or random, like we got in the original series, Wolverine off on his own I'd take all that over them filler episodes, which are part of the storyline, but they don't seem to really feature. Now, we did have earlier in the series the Jubilee and Sunsport, like standalone sort of like half of the episode where they went off into Mojo World or whatever it was, Motendo or whatever it was.
Yeah.
We need more of that. As much as we may have complained about it at the time because we were just wanting to see what was going to go off with the X-Men 97, I would take way more of that than anything that is just basic villain of the week, filler, or, you know, building up the next hype. Series 1, I will allow what they did with Bastion, but I never want to see another villain like Bastion who doesn't seem to be. There's no way, looking back in hindsight now, that Bastion was ever going to defeat the X-Men, but that's what makes the series last longer. So I accept that as an adult, but as a 12-year-old, I'd probably be a bit pissed off that they could have sort of delved into a lot more villainary people from out the Marvel universe, and they went with Bastion, a character that I'd never heard of until this series, to be honest.
No, yeah,
That's my only negative about this series, really, is all the things that they did, killing off certain characters. Yeah, I probably would have left out Sinister and any cameo of Apocalypse at any point if you were going with a character like Bastion. But luckily, they did this in the first series and not in the fourth or fifth series, where it's like, oh, they've run out of ideas.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. No, everything you said, I completely agree with. Yeah, I'm giving this 10 out of 10 as well. This is absolutely fantastic. The issues you mentioned regarding Bastion, yeah, I completely agree. But at the same time, it's better that we got this now rather than later, because maybe later it's been a lot worse. But yeah, overall, loved every second of it. Loved the ending. Loved the post-credit scene with the cards, with the appearance of Apocalypse.
Yeah,
Really
they definitely got you for like 8 episodes of the next series. Like, even if it was really bad, the next series, most people would stick around for the majority of a 10 episode series and just be like, yeah, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they'll get better next season. But yeah, I can't see it being bad in the next series. Everything they've built up here, it looks like they've actually, not just me and you speculating, it really does actually look like they've started something that could run for the next generation, not just 3 or 4 years until budgetary issues. I'm talking, this is patents towards what they would pay for a normal blockbuster film. They could have the whole Marvel universe in animation at the cost of maybe one Marvel film.
Well, yeah, if they stick to what they're doing, and this could work. This has a lot of potential to become something. I think it could rival the MCU if they know what they're doing.
But see, haven't they, from the original, what people refer to as the sort of original MCU, they've got all the groundwork's already been done by, you know, the people who did the 90s stuff. So
Yeah,
like, at the end of the day, yeah, all they've got to do is really just extend those universes out, bring them back together, and then once again, you've got Avengers. I was thinking about that like literally 5 minutes ago. I was thinking this could be a way of literally looping the animated series, the animated world, around to the point of Avengers Assemble themselves.
yeah, it could.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
where by the time that they get to 2008, you know what happens then, don't you?
Of course.
Because Iron Man's them going to become Iron Man, but then this is the problem, isn't it? Like, the way that the films work, they're not exactly set in that order, because we're getting Iron Man as this, but then, yeah, the later series of this could feature maybe some cameos from Iron Man, and it's like, oh, how did you become Iron Man? And that's at the back end of what they're planning, and then that would then loop around, wouldn't it, into Tony Stark becoming Iron Man, and then obviously that's where the Avengers assemble, obviously, in there. So yeah, you need to get to that moment there in the cartoons. So they're probably just going in reverse because they're in 1997.
Yeah.
So think about it, yes, in the time of things, a lot of these characters are already the character, but in their own story, in their own rights, to bring them all together, they need to bring them together in the timeline that we know. So by the time that they get to, say, Spider-Man 2005, that's when you know that it's all going to start looping around to become what we know as the Marvel universe and all that type of stuff. It actually makes sense to me if they did that on animation, because then you could just run through by the time we get to 2020, 2030, they could just run through the entire Marvel universe in animated form.
Yeah, they could do that. And as I said, if they stick to what they're doing with the writing and everything, they could pull it off. So anyway, that's going to be it from us. We are going to wrap this up now. What did you guys think of the season finale of X-Men 97, Episode 10, Tolerance is Extinction, Part 3? Did you enjoy it? What did you think of the way Bastion was defeated? Do you think that was a good way to beat him? And also, what's your thoughts on everyone trapped in different points of time? How do you think this is going to set up for Series 2? And what did you think of Xavier and Beast and everyone meeting a young version of Apocalypse? And also, how does the post-credit scene set up for Season 2? You know what to do, guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave your thoughts and comments down below. Rex, this has been absolutely amazing talking about the entire series of X-Men 97.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it all. Like I said, it's nice to give my opinion, nice to be able to give my thoughts on this. There's no point in watching 10 episodes of anything without being able to talk to it, especially these days. But yeah, it's nice to be able to express that. And guys, I'll be back again, so stay tuned for more.
Take care, everyone, and stay safe. And once again, as always, much appreciated. Thanks for listening.